I've got with me today someone called Aaron who lives in New York. Is it New York, Aaron?
Yes, it's New York,
Yeah.
hmm
And
in the
um,
Westchester area.
and Aaron has been with Luis Almeida for 4.5 years, which is the longest of anybody, I think. And he's also just 22 years old, and obviously came in contact with Luis when he was quite young, which is 17 or 18, I guess. So Aaron, you tell me how you came to get in contact with Lewis and why you got in contact with him.
Sure. For most of my life, to get to a little beginning is around maybe around 13, 14. I had a lot of questions about life, and I did notice that even the rich who had everything they wanted, you would see stories about them committing suicide, and it seemed as that they weren't happy. I noticed me and the rest of people in my economic class were, say lower class or middle class, didn't have much money and were also unhappy. And I had a lot of questions. Where can I find happiness and what is happiness? And in early high school, I got into Buddhism. I read a lot of Buddhist books, and I found that Buddhism didn't have a clear path to how to attain enlightenment, but it had a lot of good ideas of that it's available. And I found through Buddhism a book about Gurdjieff. It was a basic book about Gurdjieff, and then from there I started researching Gurdjieff, and I looked up a video, and I found Lewis on YouTube. And from there on YouTube, I emailed him, and that was in 2012, and we've been meeting since then.
Right. And what was the what was your impression when you first started working with Lewis?
Um, it was basically it was like finding another way, like that click of like a lost soulmate, or basically like a lot of the ideas I had, or a lot of my sensitivities about ideas. It's like he had the same ideas and he had the answers to my questions. So it's like something just rang in me that this is what I was looking for, and he had exactly the answers I was looking for.
So, what was the main work that you've, or what is the main work that you do with Lewis?
Mm.
Um, you know, 4 years is a long time. What has been the main content of that work?
Sure. It's been examining my nature and um learning how to develop a new character. And like all of us, we from life in our childhood into whatever age we are, we develop a crystallized nature. And in order to come to a new character, we have to begin to examine it and understand it. And so I had a lot of weaknesses. Mine were social interaction, um, responsibility, um, a lot of different weaknesses I had in my nature, which me and Lewis worked on examining and developing strength in those areas.
So, I mean, presumably you found it fairly testing or fairly difficult at times. Would that be true to say?
Definitely. This work is it's a good word for work because it is work, and I had to do a lot of things that was difficult. Like I had to push myself and had to really take Lewis's advice and follow Lewis's guidance and force myself to interact, force myself to put in more effort to think and to examine my ideas and develop new ideas. So this work is difficult, but it can be done.
I mean, so looking back, do you think you are in some way different from how you were 4 years ago? I mean, if so, how?
Yeah, definitely. I would say my social skills are night and day. Um, my outlook on life is much of the questions that I had, I have answers now. and much of the answers are about learning how to apply a daily process of examining and understanding. Um, but just in my attitude towards myself, I had a deep inferiority about myself, and I gained a lot much more self approval since in those 4 years, um, and I can definitely say it's a big change.
I mean, have people around you noticed any difference?
Definitely, a lot of my friends, um, ask me for advice, and I do help my friends study their own natures. Um, so a lot of my friends did notice. I would say.
Yeah. So, I mean, part of the work is studying, well, almost exclusively Spinoza. I mean, there's a little bit of Gurdjieff. Um, I mean, how have you found Spinoza? It is difficult, isn't it? I mean, how have you coped with that?
Mm. So it's a difficult book, and it's like if you're an athlete, you may be able to relate to this. I was a wrestler. When you There's a certain part of training that the difficult is enjoyable, and the resistance to get something is also enjoyable. And I would say that's the same thing with Spinoza. His work is like complex, but a whole new world once you step into Spinoza's world, and it's much different than other books. And when you begin to understand, I would say Spinoza's language, and that his book is filled with ideas, um, it's much easier to work with. But it's a difficult book, and it's enjoyable. The difficulty is enjoyable because the effort and the stretching of your mind, you feel you feel the growth of your mind, and you feel the growth of your understanding when it comes to new ideas.
So, which bits of the ethics are do you gravitate towards? Because there's five bits, one about God, one about the mind, one about the emotions, one about reason, one about liberation. Which of those, attracts you the most?
Um, I would definitely say in the beginning it was part two, the mind, and part four and part five. And to understand this work, you got to understand this work through yourself. And part three is about the emotions. And to understand your emotions has tremendous power. And being able to go through situations, personal my own situations, and be able to stand my emotions has created a lot of inner freedom for me. So I love part three.
Yeah, because you're an intellectual type, really, aren't you? And I guess you would be more
Mm.
directly attracted to part two, particularly, I guess, because I guess it's more an intellectual read. But part three is where all the meat is, isn't it? It's where the practice
Mm.
is at the end of the day. Um, so, how did you? What changes come about in you to essentially move your center of gravity from what was really an intellectual appreciation to an emotional one? Was it
Mm.
just really the persistence of Lewis to keep you focused
Mm.
on the emotions? Is that really what has changed the emphasis?
100%.
Yeah.
Louis or Lewis noticed that I was having difficulties expressing my emotions, and I can definitely say in the beginning I had this theory that I had no emotions, or yeah, I would say that I would say I don't have any emotions or nothing bothers me. And for intellectual type, it's like finding a small clue and pulling like a little piece of a yarn, and you pull out and it's a long string. And following Lewis's guidance, I just began to focus on finding my emotions and becoming aware of them, I would more precisely say. And from that, I started to see that I am emotional and all people are emotional. And it was and I had a lot of work to develop in that area. And that's where much of my growth was needed, is my emotions.
Yeah, because that's quite a thing, really. Because I remember years ago that I'm intellectual type as well, and to get in contact with my emotions was like a major work for
Mm.
me, and um, it's almost it's nothing short of miraculous that somebody can start to see their emotions when they'd previously been pretty well oblivious to their
Mm.
existence. I mean, can you remember the resistance or
Mm.
uh, the the feeling of where are my emotions? I mean, where did this sort of light start to shine? How did it start to
Mm.
shine?
I have one particular memory that sticks out to me so much, and we were having a study with I was having a study with Lewis, and this kind of changed me. This particular meeting, I was at work. We're studying a situation I had at work where I found another coworker. Um, Actually, was a customer of at the place I was working, and I found her attractive, and I desired her personally. And I found while at work, I saw another coworker speaking with this woman and um, getting connected with her and possibly getting her number. And I was telling the situation to Lewis, and I was telling that so I liked this girl and I wanted her, and but this other guy came and got her number, but I said I felt happy for him. And Lewis kind of stopped me and said, he didn't say I was lying, but he kind of challenged me that I didn't want to acknowledge the fact that I felt hatred and envy. And a lot of reality is for most intellectuals, we buffer our emotions, we suppress them, and we we suppress them and buffer them, and basically we try to make things all positive. But we have to really acknowledge what we feel. And at that moment, I saw that I didn't even see my own envy, and I buffered my feelings of hatred, which is pain accompanied by idea of an external cause. And I did feel hurt and envious of my friend that ended up getting the girl's number. And from there, I started to see how easy it is and how I couldn't even see my own emotions in that situation. And from there was a big turn, and I was able um, to now use that as a template for looking at my other experiences and to really ask myself a question: how do I really feel? And that was a big turn for me.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if you can answer this question really, but where do you see all of this going for you in terms of your work with Lewis?
I believe I've much more work. Um, there's much other areas of my character that need development. And I see. Really at the end is developing a more a consistently happy life. Really, that's the end of this work. Um, and it's really about living happy, meaning your daily existence as much as possible, as much time in your day being in an active state of mind, in an active being, which we learn what that is in the work. And my end is just how do I increase that time and increase my time being active and to a point where I'm most consistently active during the day.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that's about it, Aaron. Thank you very much for your honesty and candor. I think people are going to appreciate it. So, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Martin.
Thanks a lot.